Hey there, welcome back to another video. This time, part 2 of the rundown of 162, actually I think it's 160, yeah, 162 movie sequels that are either in production or are possibly going to be in production. So there's ones that are already in production or already finished, just waiting for the release date. And then there's other ones that are in the works, in the planning stages. Now, in the last video, I left off with Expendables 4. Now we start out with another sequel that a lot of people don't really want to see, and I'm probably sure a lot of people would rather see Expendables 4 than this sequel, and that is Fantastic Four 2, or Fan Four Stick 2, which has pretty much been binned. It's been tossed in the garbage. It's been thrown away. Fox isn't really thinking about going forward with it. Um, and for me personally, I'm one of the few people that didn't mind the Fantastic Four film. I know everybody hates it, thinks it's one of the worst superhero movies ever made. I honestly think there's much worse superhero films out there than Fantastic Four, the most recent adaptation of Fantastic Four. Steel, Catwoman, Batman and Robin, uh, those are all worse than Fantastic Four. I'd even say Spawn is a worse film if you ask me personally. I don't think it's Superman 4, Quest for Peace, that's definitely worse to me. I'd say Superman Returns. But that's just my personal opinion. I did watch it again a while back, gave it another look to see, excuse me, to see if my opinion might change on it a little bit. And it did a little bit. It just became just an okay time waster for me. There are problems. It's a film that it definitely is a tale of two halves. The first half of the film I like. The second half where it becomes Fox's clusterfuck of trying to force stuff into the movie, I don't really care for, and it becomes really obvious that there were reshoots, and it feels like a completely different film. So, but I still think it's okay. I think the film was a decent start, and I think a sequel would have been able to get past the origin stuff and build the characters some more, and it could have been a interesting, fun movie. I don't think Trank would have come back as the director, and I don't think he should, considering the amount of pretty much he's a director who's kind of untouchable right now. You don't want to touch the guy because of all this other stuff that's going on, drama and stuff like that. How he handled the situation with Fantastic Four. But yeah, its sequel. It's probably not going to happen anytime soon. And even if it does, it'll automatically get backlash because a lot of Marvel fans just want it to go back to Marvel. And at this point, maybe that would be a good idea on Fox's part, just to just let Marvel take the rights and take it off their hands. Um, the next sequel is Fast and Furious 8. Um, F. Gary Gray, who directed Straight Outta Compton, is directing it. I thought Fast 7 was okay. It was a time waster at best, but I have a feeling like if I watched it again, like I think it was Furious 7. Was it Furious 7 or was it Fast 7? I don't remember. I mean, it's confusing. I think it's yeah, Fast and Furious 7
There's
made
no limits.
$1.5 billion worldwide, and sorry for that. Anytime you scroll over on this page, over this video that's automatically on this page for on Den Of Geek, which has these 162 movie sequels. It automatically starts playing the video, so I apologize for that random bit of randomness. But anyway, Fast and Furious 8. I don't know. It's one of those. I think it's ran its course. I think after Paul Walker passed away, I think they should just end it. I don't know. It's getting close to being overkill for me. And yeah, especially after Paul Walker passed away, I don't think we need to do any more. But the last film made over $1 billion, so we're gonna get more. So maybe it'll be entertaining. Maybe it'll be better than the last one. Who knows? I guess I'll wait and see. 50 Shades Darker and 50 Shades Freed. Spelled, 50 Shades Freed. I don't fucking care about these movies. I didn't watch 50 Shades of Grey anyway, or 50 Shades of Fucking, as I like to call it, because it's kind of basically kind of what it is. It's a porn. Really, it's a porn for middle-aged women. I'm just not into this. This is not the type of franchise for me. Fuck the 50 Shades of Grey sequels. Don't give a shit. that the first one made money, so there's going to be sequels that I'm not going to watch. I'm not watching the first film either, unless somebody pays me. Uh, then we had the sequel to Finding Nemo, Finding Dory. Uh, I don't know. I mean, Finding Nemo I thought was okay. I never really loved the movie, but I haven't seen the film in forever, so I really don't know what to say on that front. But I don't know about Finding Dory. Honestly, I find Dory I didn't really care for Ellen DeGeneres' voiceover, her character in those movies, so that's just kind of annoying. So I don't more of Dory. It's not really for me, but there's other people out there who really look forward to the sequel. Cool. I'm more looking forward to Incredibles 2, which will be on this list as well. Then we have Flash Gordon 2, where Sam J. Jones revealed that he said basically revealed to people, and actually the people at Den of Geek, that the remake of Flash Gordon may end up being a sequel to the much loved 80s film. And he said in an interview that he said that Fox now has the screenplay rights to the film and that John Davis is set to produce. Jones has met with Fox and we're talks about that, and he's very excited. So he talked with Fox, and this is basically a maybe, a might happen. I don't think it needs to be done. Without Queen, I don't want to see Flash Gordon 2. And this is one thing, if you wanted to do a reboot, I'd be more up for that route than a straight up sequel, because if Queen isn't doing the soundtrack, then it's not going to be Flash Gordon to me. I mean, Queen was what made their soundtrack, which is awesome, took that film to a whole nother level. You take away Queen's soundtrack, and it's nowhere near as good or as much fun. And also the tongue-in-cheek B-movie vibe is another reason why I really like Flash Gordon, the 1980 film. I don't know if they're going to carry that over with the sequel. So it would seem kind of out of place. I don't know. A lot of people probably call it cheesy. So I don't know. And plus all the CGI. And I don't know about Flash Gordon 2. If it happens, I'll keep I'll keep an eye on it. I'll give it a look sometime, and I'll wait for a trailer. But if a reboot happens too, I just we'll see I'd rather them do another Buck Rogers, because I don't think there's been a Buck Rogers film since the TV pilot was released in theaters. So I'd rather them do that instead of doing Flash Gordon 2 or a reboot of Flash Gordon. Then we have Frozen 2. Didn't see Frozen. I know everyone's like, let it go, da, 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 whatever. That was a super, super popular song. Every kid seems to love that movie, and never saw it. I don't have a desire to see it either. You see, I like animated films from now and then, but like anime or a DC animated movie or Marvel animated movie. I'm not really into a lot of kids animated movies. It's just not really. I'm not the intended audience for it, and Frozen just didn't interest me. So yeah, I've never seen the first film, and I don't really have any desire to see the sequel either. But that's just me personally. I know it's going to be huge, because the first film is huge. G.I. Joe 3, John M. Chu is gonna get replaced by DJ Caruso. I don't really want to see another G.I. Joe, especially after the first two. The first film I saw in the theater, and I had some fun with it, mainly because, hey, you got Dennis Quaid, and, there's some decent bits of action I didn't mind. The sequel I thought sucked. It was directed by a guy who didn't know how to direct action to save his life. The Rock didn't even save it. It was bland. It was boring. The best things about it were some sequences with Snake Eyes, and there weren't that many. Yeah, so I did not like Retaliation. Bruce Willis couldn't save it either. It's a movie that's so bad I wanted to retaliate against it with my fists. So I'm not really looking forward to G.I. Joe 3, because first film at best is a time waster, at worst is pretty bad, and the second film was terrible. So what? Is the third time going to be the charm? I highly doubt it. I highly doubt that will be the case. Then we have Godzilla 2, which I know a lot of people are excited for, but I'm one of the few people who did not care for the 2014 Godzilla. I like to call it Goddamn Zilla, because it's a goddamn disappointment to me. And no offense to people who, believe in, God and whatever. And it's, if that's your thing, it's just a pun. It's a play on words. Goddamn Zilla. Instead of Godzilla, it's Goddamn Zilla because it pissed me off. It was disappointing. It was boring. It was all the stupid, oh, here's Godzilla, he's gonna fight a monster. No, we're gonna pan away. Oh, here's Godzilla's gonna fight some monsters. Oh, this gate's gonna close. Or we'll cut to some kid sleeping on the couch. It was boring. You killed up Bryan Cranston, who was the most interesting character out of the entire film, and replaced him with his character's son, Ford Brody, who's fucking boring, bland, and just completely uninteresting as a character, so you don't give a shit what happens to him. It just, the film didn't really bother to have characters other than Bryan Cranston, at least to me, that you gave a shit about. And there weren't a lot of stuff with Godzilla. Godzilla was barely even in his own movie. It was a film called Godzilla where he would have the shortest amount of running screen time out of any of the Godzilla movies, including the older Godzilla films. And it also took itself too seriously. It was too serious. It didn't have fun with the concept. And it just should have just called it Mutos because there's more Mutos in it than there was Godzilla. Um, there was some decent imagery here and there, but overall, I was very disappointed by the film. Maybe a sequel will improve upon it. We'll see. I'm just not going to get my hopes up because I did that for Godzilla 2014 film directed by Gareth Evans. Not Gareth Evans. I wish it was Gareth Evans. Gareth Edwards. And it just disappointed me. And great teaser, but the film was just a disappointment for me personally. And with the sequel, I'll be very leery of it. I remember reading that they're gonna have some more fun with it. The Godzilla's gonna fight other monsters, and okay, cool. I hope that's the case. I hope it injects some fun into Godzilla. Um, and less boredom. But that's just me personally. Godzilla versus King Kong. I don't really. I don't want to see another Godzilla versus King Kong. We already did that already. It's just I'm not interested in that either. Goon 2, which is going to be a sequel to the movie Goon, which was an ultra-violent ice hockey comedy with the Sean William Scott. I guess it started shooting. Jay Baruchel is directing it, and the sequel is due this year sometime. I actually haven't got around to seeing Goon yet, and I've been curious about the film, so maybe I'll give it a look by the time the sequel comes out, and maybe give you guys my thoughts on it then. So I don't know what else I don't know what to say about Goon 2 because I haven't seen the first film. Goonies 2, Goonies 2 has been something that's been announced and then it's never really gotten anywhere. And this has been a cycle for years. This is something that's been going on for years and years and years. Goonies 2 is announced. Nothing seems to come from it. And part of me, it'd be kind of interesting to see a Goonies film with the Goonies crew, the Goondocks crew, all grown up, and they go on an adventure as adults, because I think that'd be something interesting to see. I don't think they're going to take that route though. They'll have them, if they do a sequel, they do a sequel slash reboot like Jurassic World, and they'd have new kids, and the adults would pretty much be in the background or something. And I really that doesn't interest me. It's not the Goonies if you don't have Mikey and Chunk and and Data and all the crew. And I just think it would be a fun thing to do, to revisit the cast again. Of course, Mouth, who is my favorite, Corey Feldman. You revisit the cast, that you Chunk. Wow, he's not Chunk anymore. They could have some fun with that. He lost weight. Um, but I think it could be a fun thing to do, to have an adult adventure with the Goonies, all grown up. Something I think that would be a nice love letter to the fans. It would be something different to see because you don't really see that many films where you see these kids who are all grown up in a sequel so many years later and they actually go on the adventure. It's not their kids. So, but the thing is, it's wishful thinking. It's probably never going to happen. But, as the Goonies always say, Goonies never say die. So I wouldn't, the idea of a sequel is probably still going to be there as long as the film remains popular and retains its cult status. But yeah, part of me just doesn't feel like it's something that's going to be happening anytime soon. Goosebumps 2, don't care about. I hated the first film. If you're gonna do Goosebumps 2, do an actual anthology film. Come up with new Goosebumps stories. Don't give me this Jumanji rip-off bullshit. I didn't like it. I did not care for it at all, to be honest. There was a couple. I like seeing Slappy, but I was rooting for him to kill everybody. The lead guy's bland, and he's about as stale as old saltine crackers, and I didn't like Jack Black as Arlstein, and yeah, I'm not looking forward to Goosebumps 2 if and when it ever does come out. But if anyone else is, that's fine with me. Gremlins 3. That's one thing that's been announced, that's been talked about. Gremlins 3 would be like a sequel reboot like Jurassic World, or like the Star Trek reboots, where they'll have a mix in old and new characters, and I guess Joe Dante is not going to be involved with it at all, which I don't really like that. I would hope he'd be involved in some way, like as an executive producer or as a script supervisor or something, because Gremlins is in a lot of ways it's Joe Dante's franchise. It's his very fun touch, his a really great ability to blend elements of horror and comedy that really made those films work so well. And part of me is like, cool, another Gremlins would be fun. Another part of me is like, I don't want to see a Jurassic World type movie where, and I did not like Jurassic World, where it's a sequel, but it's also a reboot, and we have annoying new characters I don't care for, and then it's all about them, and the original characters are put on the back burner. I feel the same way about, Gremlins 3 as I do about a Goonies 2. If you're going to do that, bring back Zach Galligan and Phoebe Cates. If you want to have Zach Galligan's kids or something involved in the adventure, fine with me, but bring back Zach Galligan and Phoebe Cates and have them be a big part of the story. Also, I know Rick Baker is retired, so he probably won't be able to do work on any of the effects. I don't think Chris Walas is going to be able to do anything either, considering, and speaking of Chris Walas, I actually met him in person recently at a showing of The Fly, David Cronenberg's The Fly at the Hollywood Theater over here in Portland, Oregon. And while I'm on that topic, I think it'd be perfect time to show you guys this. And this will be, pretty quick. Um, so, and I'll talk more about the sort of things that I heard while I was seeing The Fly with Chris when I review The Fly again. Because I want to do that again, and even though I've reviewed it before, that's like in 3 parts, and I want to review it in like all one part thing. So this book right here, Men, Makeup, and Monsters, is one of the first books that ever introduced me to the idea of mega special effects, and I love mega special effects. And I fell in love with mega special effects the moment I checked this out from the library, and then eventually I bought a copy myself. Well, I brought this with me to the screening of The Fly, and Chris Walas was there, and I met him. I shook his hand, and he gave me this signature. So this is really cool. So, and there's a gremlin. He drew a gremlin on there, which I think that's really cool. He drew a gremlin on there, and that's what I mean. Speaking of Gremlins 3, there you go. I showed you a gremlin and Chris Walas' autograph. Um, and Chris Walas actually took some questions from some of the people in the audience, and they asked him what his favorite project was that he worked on, the favorite film that he worked on, and he said it was Gremlins. So but Chris, he's older now, and sadly, he has a congenital hearing disorder, so he's lost some hearing in one of his ears. So I don't think he'll probably be able to work on the effects. And it's sad to say, if they did do Gremlins 3, it would probably be a lot of CGI, no, not any puppets, and it would just be CGI gremlins that look fake, and it would probably be in 3D. And I don't know. I think a time for Gremlins 3 is past. I think the time passed in the 90s. Same way I felt about um, Ghostbusters 3. Should have done it in the 90s, and now that they didn't do it, I don't even really want to see Ghostbusters 3. I definitely don't want to see this Ghostbusters reboot. I didn't want to see Ghostbusters 3 either. And I definitely don't really want to see a Gremlins 3, especially not now. But maybe it'll surprise me if they do make it. And if it does, I'll definitely be the first one to say so. Then we have Guardians of the Galaxy 2, which I'm actually really looking forward to this one. I love the first Guardians of the Galaxy. I thought it was a very entertaining, fun movie. It had this sort of different vibe that I didn't really see when it comes to a lot of superhero Marvel films. A band of rejects, and it was nice to see that sort of dynamic. Um, it was kind of a throwback film too, and I love that. And so I'm looking forward to the sequel with all the cast returning. I know Kurt Russell is going to be in the cast. I guess he's going to play Star-Lord's dad. I think that's great. Stallone is supposed to be in the film in some capacity. I hope he's not just some random cameo, because that'd just be distracting and weird, and you'd be wondering like, why is Stallone just standing there in the background? What is Rambo doing here? And I think it would be really cool though, and I could kind of see the directors and the producers and the writers having this planned out anyway. I mean, if you're going to have Stallone in the movie, and you're going to have Kurt Russell and Michael Rooker, why wouldn't you have them team up together and kick some alien ass? I mean, you got to have something. If you're going to have Stallone and Kurt Russell, it makes too much sense to me to have a scene where they team up and kick some ass. If they don't do that, that's just a missed opportunity. But even if they were going to do that, they'd keep that tight under wraps. So I hope that happens. That would make me so happy. That would be one of the best things Stallone's done in years. And it would be a Tango and Cash reunion. And I love Tango and Cash. So that would be really cool. But either way, I'm really excited. As you can see, talk about Guardians of the Galaxy 2 gets my spirits up. I'm looking forward to that. And I know I'm not alone when it comes to that as well. I'm wondering what the plot is going to be. I wonder who the villain is going to be. Is the villain going to be a stronger villain than Ronan was? Either way, I just hope it recaptures the same fun and the same sense of entertainment that the first film did. Then we have Halloween Returns, which is technically Halloween 11. They're saying here it may make it to a release date of this year. Not going to happen. Not happening at all. Marcus Dunstan was directing with the script by Patrick Melton. I don't remember hearing much about it, and to be honest, I'm pretty much burned out by Michael Myers anyway. Unless they do like a versus thing. If they have Michael Myers face off with Jason Voorhees, that would be interesting. That would be something different. But I don't really want to see another Michael Myers Halloween film with, after Rob Zombie's Halloween movies, the franchise has pretty much been dead for me. Maybe the Halloween Returns, which is a stupid title. I hope they change that. I'd rather they call it Halloween Resurgence or something else than Halloween Returns. That just is an awful title. Um, Ever since Halloween 5 and the franchise has pretty much been fucked over. You had H2O, which kind of ended up repairing some of the damage, and then Halloween Resurrection comes around and fucks it all up again. And then you have Rob Zombie's clusterfuck of movies. So I just it's one of those things. I like Halloween. I like the franchise. I like Michael Myers. I love the shape, but I don't know if it can be recovered. I don't know if you can fix the problems that this franchise has already had. I don't know what else you can bring to the franchise that is anything new. I guess what you can do is take the Friday the 13th sort of a remake route and just make a fun slasher movie. And I guess you could do that with Michael Myers, but you might as well just do it with a different character. Um, you might as well just make your own slasher franchise with a different character rather than just throw in Michael Myers in a cheap, down and dirty, gory, fun slasher. I just think the Halloween franchise has run its course, and I don't like this idea of constantly digging up these popular horror icons and just throwing out more movies just because they're popular. I don't like that idea because it has gotten the point to me where it ran its course. The franchise has lost its luster for me, and it's one of those things where I've seen it so many times now. This is gonna be Halloween 11. I mean, it's pretty much reached its breaking point for me personally. So I'd rather them do something different than another Halloween film. But that's just me personally. Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters 2. I haven't seen the first film. I've heard about it. I've been kind of curious about it, but I haven't gotten around to seeing it. It was a surprise success at the box office, but a follow-up never came, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen either because on this web page they're talking about maybe 2016 as a possible release date. We know that's not going to happen. Um, I'd say this: I'd be more interested in Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters 2 more than Snow White and the Huntsman 2, but we're getting that. You know, there's been rumors maybe they might do it like a Netflix sort of thing or direct to video, or do a TV show instead on Netflix. And okay, all right, maybe but I haven't actually seen the film yet, so I'm not really the best guy to talk to when it comes to, oh, do you really want to see Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters 2? And I'm like, I don't really know because I haven't seen the first film yet. But for those of you who have seen the first film, let me know in the comments or whatever whether or not you want to see a sequel. Um, but for me personally, it's one of those I haven't seen the first film, so I don't have much to say. Hellboy 3, on the other hand, is something that Guillermo del Toro really wants to do. Same thing for Ron Perlman, and I would love to see it because I love the first two films. I was one of the few people who saw Hellboy 2 in the theater instead of The Dark Knight. And and if you ask me, I personally like Hellboy 2, The Golden Army, more than The Dark Knight. But that's just me personally. I love the first two Hellboy films. Ron Perlman is great. I love the visuals. Del Toro does an amazing job with the action and with all the different imagery that you see on film. I would love to see Hellboy 3 wrap everything up, and Del Toro would really, really like to do it, but the studio is just very reluctant because of the disappointing box office of Hellboy 2. And, I'd rather see Hellboy 3 than Pacific Rim 2 any day of the week. But it's one of those where it's definitely wishful thinking. It's like Dread 2. I want it. I'd love to see it, and I'm not alone, but the studio probably isn't going to make it. Then we have High School Musical 4. I don't give a fuck about that. Fuck High School Musical. It could rot and die. Hotel Transylvania 3, another Hotel Transylvania. I haven't seen the first film. I haven't seen the second film. They just don't interest me. Um, that's just me personally. I like stuff with monsters and stuff, but I don't know. The films just never looked like they were very interesting to me. Nothing really caught my attention, so I'm not the right guy. I'm not the best guy to talk to when it comes to Hotel Transylvania 3 either. How to Train Your Dragon 3, haven't seen the first two either. So I've heard good things about the first film, but I've never actually gotten around to seeing it. That's what I wouldn't mind seeing sometime because it doesn't seem like a film that's too much geared towards the kids. It's like, these Minions movies and Despicable Me, which that was one of the things that was mentioned on the list last time. I just skipped it. Despicable Me 3. I don't like the Minions, and I'm not looking forward to the third film. So, um, but the How to Train Your Dragon films didn't seem like that kind of movie. So, I don't know. Well, I need to give the first two films a look. So maybe by the time the third film rolls around in 2018, which is decent of times away, or maybe before that, maybe I'll give them a look and give you guys my thoughts. I mean, I like Dragon Slayer a little bit. Really, I'm a bigger fan. I don't really like Dragon Slayer. Last time I saw that, I wasn't the biggest fan. I meant Dragonheart. I like Dragonheart. So I like dragon movies and stuff. So who knows? It might be pretty good. I'd be open to giving those films a look sometime. Ice Age 5, another fucking Ice Age movie. I'm not really the biggest fan of that franchise. Not really for me. Um, Excuse me, but the fifth one, just enough already. This is getting to be like the Land Before Time franchise. Not to the point where you have 15 of them, or what was it, 12 or 13, or some crazy amount of number of Land Before Time movies, but it's still getting pretty crazy. I mean, if you're gonna tell me when Ice Age came out that there was gonna be 5 of them, I think people would probably be like, "What? Really? How many times are you gonna throw out that squirrel?" Uh, but yeah. Then you have Immortals 2, which is supposed to maybe happen in 2015. They want Henry Cavill back to star, but the film is facing financial problems. I don't remember the first film making that much money, so I don't know why they're doing a sequel. That's another film I haven't got around to seeing, but I've seen bits and pieces of it, and I saw the trailer, and it didn't interest me. So the sequel doesn't interest me either. Then we have The Incredibles 2, and that's one I'm really curious about. Really, really looking forward to. Um, there's no release date yet for it, but Brad Bird is going to direct, and I'm looking forward to it because I love the first Incredibles, and I think I'd probably say it might be my favorite Pixar film, and I'm really looking forward to the sequel. And I've been waiting for a sequel for years. I'm like, why did they do Cars 2 instead of Incredibles 2? Why did they do Finding Dory instead of Incredibles 2? Why did they wait so long to do Incredibles 2? And I hope it's a bounce back thing for Brad Bird because Tomorrowland was very disappointing. And I honestly, for me personally, I personally feel that Brad Bird is a much better director when it comes to animated films versus live action. So I'm really curious to see what he's going to bring to the animated realm in his hopefully triumphant return to that medium. So I'm definitely looking forward to Incredibles 2. Any bits of news that are going to happen, looking forward to when it comes out and when we see the trailer and everything. Because Incredibles to me was not a film that was just for kids. That was a film that I was enjoyable to me as an adult, and it was enjoyable to me when it came out when I was a little bit younger. So anyway, yeah, definitely looking forward to Incredibles 2. Independence Day Resurgence trailers. More and more trailers I see, the more and more the film doesn't interest me. I don't like the idea of Will Smith dying off screen. I don't really. It doesn't. Other than Jeff Goldblum and Bill Pullman, none of these new cast members really grab my attention or make me really want to go see it. Plus, it just. I never wanted a sequel. What is it going to do differently? We've seen a million other alien invasion movies. What is this film going to add to that genre that hasn't been already seen before? I don't like the idea that oh they came back for revenge. I mean, I think the first film was great as a one-off. We don't need another one. And especially with tons of CGI, barely any practical effects, which is one of the reasons why I really like the first film, because it has a lot of practical effects in it. There's some CGI, but there's some really impressive practical effects work in Independence Day, and it seems like what are they gonna do? The world was already fucked up by the aliens once. They're gonna do it again? I just don't see what they can really do with the sequel, and what it'll really provide in terms of anything that is remotely different or even worth watching for me personally is a story I don't care about. I don't care about Independence Day 2. I think it summed things up well enough in the first movie, and I did not need a sequel. Indiana Jones 5, which Harrison Ford will return to the lead role. Steven Spielberg's going to direct. The film is expected in cinemas by June 2019. I love Harrison Ford, and I'm one of the few people who actually did not hate Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I liked it when I saw it in the theater. I liked it again when I saw it later on home video, and I still like the movie. The CGI groundhogs and the CGI monkeys is stupid and shitty, but I never had a problem with the aliens. I never had a problem with the Crystal Skull. I thought it was a fun movie. It was nice to see Karen Allen again. I thought Harrison Ford did a great job reprising his role. And it was surprising there was a decent amount of practical effects work that were in the film. There was a lot of actual sets, which is really nice to see. And I thought there was a decent amount of action. It was fun. It was a fun movie. I would say it's my least favorite of the Indiana Jones films, but I wouldn't say it's like the worst film ever or like as bad as the Star Wars prequels. I really don't see it that way. Nuke in the Fridge didn't bother me either. And some scientists actually did some research and found out that he could have survived a nuclear blast in a lead-lined fridge. So all of us, well, nuke in the fridge, complaining and whining about nuke in the fridge, which if you're one of those people, cool, fine, to each their own, but it never bothered me. Um, the scientists did some research and discovered that you can survive. And either way, how is that any more ridiculous and over the top than any of the other stuff that has happened in any of the other Indiana Jones movies? Like, I don't know, the Lost Ark of the Covenant, melting people's faces off, or a guy, a thuggy cold, basically putting their hands through your chest, ripping your heart out without tearing a hole in your chest, and you're still alive, and they got your heart in their hands, and you're just being lowered in some lava, or magic stones, or how about a thousand-year-old Grail Knight? Or the Holy Grail, or see the sequence in the Temple of Doom where they fall out of an airplane in a life raft, and land on a mountain and nobody dies and the life raft doesn't pop, and then they land in a rushing river and it doesn't capsize and nobody drowns. The franchise where Indiana Jones survives a fall while he's on the top of a tank and it falls off a cliff. This is the franchise, the same franchise where all that stuff happened. And Indiana Jones runs boulders and does all kinds of crazy stuff. And aliens and uh, a nuke in the fridge is too much. That's what I don't understand. This is the Indiana Jones franchise. It's more fantasy than it is reality in the first place. So I don't I don't understand why people are crying foul over the nuke in the fridge or the aliens and so forth and so on. I don't really understand that, but that's just me personally. Indiana Jones films are based on the serials from the 30s and 40s, where there were a lot of these unrealistic situations where the hero got into, and he always managed to survive. And that's kind of what happens here, and that's what happens in the Indiana Jones film. It's part of why they're so much fun. If you start to inject reality in them, then you end up, honestly, in essence, crippling the films and making it so they can't do as much as they possibly can to entertain you. But, that's just me personally. I never had a problem with the fridge. I never had a problem with the aliens. And a reason why is because the other Indiana Jones films were based on the 30s and 40s serials. Well, and they looked like films that could kind of pass for films of their time, especially with the elements that were in them, and plots and so forth and so on. Well, Kingdom of Crystal Skull took place in the 50s. So, just like the other films, where they took the Nazis, they were the main threat. They took them and had them in the Indiana Jones films as the main villains. In the 50s, the main villains were the Russians, and people were scared of communism, and people were afraid of aliens, and aliens were big in movies in the cinemas. Alien invasion movies, the Earth versus the Flying Saucer, all those type of movies were huge in the 50s. And so it kind of made sense to me that you had communism, you had communists, you had mind control was another thing that people were scared of. So in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, it combines all those elements. You have mind control, you have Russians, you have communism, and you have aliens, which were all things that were very popular in the 50s. So I don't really see the problem with having those elements in Kingdom Crystal Skull, because it's a film that takes place in the 50s, and so it takes elements from the 50s and takes things that were popular on cinemas and in the public lexicon from that time period. So I don't really have a problem with how Kingdom of Crystal Skull handled its plot or a lot of these other things. There's a few things that I have a problem with. Not the biggest fan of Shia LaBeouf, but he wasn't as terrible as as a lot of people said he was. At least to me personally, I thought he was tolerable. Him swinging with monkeys was bullshit, but that's not the entire movie. So yeah, that's just my thoughts. I just had to go on a little rant there. I just I don't it's not that bad to me personally. I don't think it's one of the worst films ever. If you do, fine with me. So, but with Indiana Jones 5, though, that's the thing. Indy was starting to show his age in Indy 4. He's definitely going to show his age in Indy 5. And part of me is just like, just let it go. I'm not one of those guys who wants Indiana Jones to become like the Indiana Jones franchise. I don't want the Indiana Jones films to become like the James Bond franchise, and we just cycle out different actors to play Indiana Jones. Plus, it doesn't make as much sense. 007 is something that's given to an agent. It could be anybody could be technically 007. But with Indiana Jones, I'd hear dub the Indiana Jones. That doesn't make any sense. What is Indy gonna call his next protege, Indiana Jones? Of course not. So I'd rather them just leave it alone. Once Harrison Ford is done with it, then the franchise is done. And that's the way it should be, in my opinion. I love Indiana Jones. Part of the reason why I like it to just stay that way is because I love the franchise so much, and I love the characters so much, and I just want it to remain a legend. Like the artifacts that Indy spends so much time and effort and energy trying to collect. I think that's what would be best for the film, for the franchise. Because just throwing in Indiana Jones films one after another with a new guy and so on, it's just, I don't like that idea, and I'd rather them just do their own franchise. Do Uncharted. If you want to do that, do Uncharted adaptations. Adapt them to the Uncharted video games. Or do something where you end up how about just do like King Solomon's Mines or something. Do an Alan Quartermain franchise. If this is going to be the last Indiana Jones film, I hope they don't have Harrison Ford do too much. But if he can pull it off, cool. But a part of me is just like, I don't even want an Indy 5. I think the fourth film was fine. I like the whole way it ends. Indy marries Marion. That's a good way to end things. I don't really think we need another one. But, you know, I'm curious because it is Indiana Jones and Harrison Ford will be involved. So we'll see what happens. But I'm definitely leery of it because I don't really know if I really want it. And part of me is like, I don't really want it. But at the same time, I'm like, it's Indiana Jones, and I love Indiana Jones, and I love Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones, so part of me is like, I'm curious, but another part of me is like, no, just leave it alone, just don't do anymore. But we'll see what happens. Inferno, which is the third Dan Brown movie following the Da Vinci Code and Angels and Demons. I've never seen the Da Vinci Code or Angels and Demons, so I don't know what else to say. I don't know what to say. I never really got into those books. I didn't really watch the movies. They didn't seem like they would be my cup of tea. So, don't really care about Inferno. The only Inferno I really like is Dario Argento's Inferno. Iron Sky: The Coming Race, which is another sequel to Iron Sky, which I've never seen the franchise. It reminds me a lot of like Castle Wolfenstein meets Sky Captain the World of Tomorrow. And I've been kind of curious about the Iron Sky films, but I've never really gotten around to watching them yet. So I don't know what to say about Iron Sky: The Coming Race, which I think is the sequel or it's the third film. I don't know. Yeah, it's a sequel, I think. Then we have Jack Reacher 2, which is entitled Jack Reacher Never Go Back. I'm curious about this because I like Jack Reacher. I really like the first Jack Reacher. I'm looking forward to this. I'll wait for a trailer before I really honestly get my hopes up for it. But I'm definitely curious about it. It's definitely got my interest because I was one of the people who really liked Jack Reacher. I saw it in the theater. I had a really good time. I thought Tom Cruise was great in it, and I'm really looking forward to Jack Reacher 2. I just hope it's not one of those sequels that's a letdown, and I'll wait for a trailer, because I don't really know what to say about it right now, other than it's supposed to come out in 2016, it's supposed to come out in October of this year, and I'm just waiting for a trailer. Another film that's supposed to come out next year is John Wick Chapter 2, which I thought it was 2016. I guess it's supposed to come out in 2017 now? Did they push it back? Because they say it's 2017. Yeah, 2017. I guess not 2016. Chapter 2, Reeves is returning, of course, as the badass John Wick. Writer Derek Kolstad, who wrote the first film, is returning, and the same directors are returning. So that really does interest me. But part of me, I'm going to wait for a trailer, no matter what. I love John Wick, one of my favorite films from the year it was released. And but a sequel, there's a chance it could be really good, but there's a chance it could be disappointing. So I'm just going to wait till I see a trailer or some kind of plot synopsis or something before I actually tell you guys my definite thoughts on it. But I just definitely got to say, I'm glad I got a sequel, and I'm definitely curious about it. And this makes me feel pretty good about it, you know, where Keanu Reeves has promised that the film will explore the world behind the world behind the world in terms of the assassins, and as well as evolving the action. In Reeves's words, if the first one was a black belt, then this one is a third-degree black belt. That's saying something. Like, if this film can actually manage to improve and like surpass the action that the first film had, that would be impressive. And I'd definitely be interested to see if they could pull that off. Definitely more interested in that than the next three sequels that I'm going to talk about, and then I will call it a day, so to speak. End this video because I just want to keep these as short as I possibly can. I don't want to do these to be like over an hour and 2 hours long. There's a lot of things to talk about, so I just want to, like I did the first part, end this one after I get to the end of page 2. So we got 3 more, and here we go with the first out of the last 3. Journey 3, which is a sequel to Journey: The Center of the Earth. The ones with Brendan Fraser. I've never seen the first one. I didn't see Journey 2 with Dwayne Johnson. It was a huge hit. Journey 3 is going to come out. It's called From Earth to the Moon. And the suggested 2016 release, not going to happen. I didn't really see the first 2 films, so it's another sequel where it's like I didn't see the first 2, so I can't really say whether or not I'm looking forward to it or not. But they didn't really interest me. So yeah, so this sequel doesn't really interest me either. And then we have Jurassic World 2, which I still can't believe that this film had the biggest opening weekend of all time. And I really part of me just I find that unbelievable, and I just still can't believe that. But it is what it is. I know a lot of people really enjoyed this movie, but to me, it was a really bad film. I thought Jurassic Park 3 was much better. I thought Lost World was better, and that had its flaws. I honestly thought Jurassic World was the worst Jurassic Park film for me personally. It felt like a big budget Sci-Fi Channel original movie. And it had all these elements that I've seen done better in other movies, like Aliens and Deep Blue Sea. And Chris Pratt was fine performance-wise, but he had nothing to do. He didn't do anything. He rode with the Raptors and did jack shit. He shot a couple pterodactyls, but he basically had to get saved by Bryce Dallas Howard. I hated that character, Bryce Dallas Howard, the Ice Queen, uh, Queen Bitch of the Dinosaurs. I hated the kids. They were annoying as fuck, and they had most of the screen time. Vincent D'Onofrio is a villain you see coming a mile away. It was just a film that even if it was the cliches weren't the problem to me. Films can have all kinds of cliches and stuff that I've seen before, but it was just boring. There wasn't a lot that happened. I didn't really feel that Trev Morrow's direction was amazing, and I just thought it was very slow paced. It didn't have that much action that was memorable. I did like the stuff with the T-Rex and then Dominus Rex at the end. But the whole stuff with the raptor being buddies is a little bit over the top. And honestly, I just wish they just had made a Dino Riders movie or Dino Crisis. If you're gonna have that kind of stuff, just go all the way with it. But yeah, it was just there's a lot of lapses in logic when it comes to the script and how things were handled. There was a lot of characters I did not care about and I did not like. I didn't like the direction. The effects didn't really impress me. The one most impressive effect was the practical effect of one of the dinosaurs, and it was the one dinosaur that pretty much died. It died, and it might as well symbolize the death of practical effects. I wanted to have fun with it, but after, when I saw it in the theater, I was like, on it. And then I saw it again, I'm like, this movie just has terrible pacing, and Chris Pratt is wasted in this. Him and Bryce Dallas Howard have no chemistry. It focuses too much on these 2 kids who are annoying as hell. The older brother is a douchebag who's talking to his, saying that his brother shouldn't cry. Because why? Because he knows that his parents are getting a divorce. Oh, instead of consoling him, don't cry, basically. Don't be a bitch. I wanted him to get eaten by a dinosaur right then and there. So yeah, just unlikable characters. Just a lot of just boring sequences. Yeah, just not a fan of Jurassic World. It's fine if you are, and a lot of people are. A lot of people enjoyed it. I just wasn't one of those people. So I'm not really looking forward to a sequel or a third film. So that's pretty much the end of this list, is Jurassic World 2 and Jurassic World 3, which I'm not looking forward to either sequel. But they're going to happen anyway, because Jurassic World was like a huge, unbelievably big hit. But yeah, I don't know what else to say. Those are my thoughts on the upcoming sequels that are in the works or have already been produced and are going to come out this year, or are going to start coming out, in the upcoming years, if they do actually get greenlit. Some of them are just in the planning processes, and I hope some of them just stay that way. But anyway, thank you for watching, and as always, I will see you guys later. See ya.